Hello there, welcome back to another episode of World of Tanks with Any Titan, and we're on Lakeville in the Skoda T25. So I've managed to complete the grind on all three tier 5 tanks, or the Skoda T24, sorry. The Skoda T25 is the one I'm after getting. So I have the Skoda T25 Elites, I have the Leopard, the VK1601, I think, Elites, so now the VK2801 light tank. I have the TP25, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the word that comes after it, and that's also Elites. So I think it's the 40 TP, 25 TP. Anyway, so the next one's the 40 TP. Of the three of them, I think the Leopard is easily the most fun tank of the three, and even though I think it's probably one of the weaker tier 5 light tanks, but you can still have perfectly respectable scouting game in it when the opportunity arises. The gun is very much on the weak side. There's an IKEA 72 and a Panzer 2G. So it's very typical Lakeville situation. All the wrong kind of tanks are going to the valley, and too many of them. All the wrong kind of tanks are going down the lakeside road. Nobody's going near the town. This is not a tank you want to be leading the charge with because it has paper armour. Gun handling is poor enough on the move, and while it does bounce shots, sometimes amazingly bounce shots, you cannot in any way rely on the armour in this tank. For that matter, this is probably the second best of the three. The Polish, the 25 TP, is probably the worst of the three in class because mostly the guns are utter rubbish, except for the last gun is not too bad, but it's still worse than the other two guns. So this tank, the Skoda T24 and the 25 TP, are basically rubbish in armour, reasonable mobility, poor enough view range. Except the Skoda, the Czech tanks, have reasonable guns. The guns are the best point of the tank. The Polish tanks, most of the guns are rubbish until you get up to the very last gun, which is still weak enough, but it's so much better than what you had before. So we had M4 holding up a medium tank, a heavy tank, a medium tank, and a tank destroyer. Most of whom shouldn't be on the lakeside road anyway. It just should be so obvious that it's one tank wide road, and that's the carefully placed wreckage of a TOG would actually probably stop you moving up and down that road completely. We've spotted the artillery. We've spotted an SU-76M, which has actually got a hard-hitting gun. But I think there's IKV-72s of hard-hitting guns as well. And there's a Lago. If we can get the angle on him just to shoot him, because he's spotting me, which is not good. So we've gotten the angle on him, and we've managed to get a snapshot off really without missing, which is actually quite remarkable. Somebody just demolished the outhouse on that building, possibly the SU-75, possibly another tank destroyer, and the artillery nearly demolished my tank entirely. That was way too close for comfort. This thing is pretty much a one-shot kill to artillery. There's no bouncing artillery off the roof of this thing. And that one was pretty damn close as well. So we are now going to try and slip around the corner because we've got to try and spot these tanks. If for no other reason than say maybe somebody friendly can hit them from the back, like the artillery or something. That's mainly what my position is now, is just try to stay alive, try to spot the enemies before they spot me, and avoid the return fire. And if I get the opportunity to kill something. So we got the artillery, we know there are tank destroyers out here, and we're not being spotted. So we'll push forward. I want to be very careful from the enemy base, you see, because there's one of the possible locations for the... except there he is. The IKEA 72 is shooting at me. You see, the first shot he hit my tracks, didn't do much damage, but the second shot removed more than half my health. And I'm not going to move, because if I move, my bloom will get very big and the chances of me missing are very high. But if he wants to shoot me, he's got to appear in front of me. He's got to turn. And one thing tier 3 turretless tank destroyers are not good at is turning. This isn't the Jagdpanzer IV or Jagdpanther or any of those things. They're actually pretty decent at turning. Now that Su-75's around somewhere, but there is still remaining artillery. So I decided I'd come out this way. I thought he mightn't spot me, but he didn't. But he did. But hopefully the windmill and the building should now be between me and it, wherever it is. Whatever it is and wherever it is. Well, it's not the heavy tank, so it has to be the Su-75. Don't see him. He's not back at the base because the medium tank would surely have seen him. So I come up here and all of a sudden, there he is inside the bush. So we managed to get a snapshot off. We don't really need it, but it was always nice anyway. And we come around and he hasn't moved or reacted. So I suspected he might have been AFK as well. And given up until we arrived at this point. Now I'm weaving and bobbing because there's artillery out there. And I'm almost certainly spotted. So it's a question of where is the artillery and can we get there first. I could have avoided driving across the cap circle, but I thought, what the hell? And let's go find this remaining tank, and there he is. I'm not facing any particular direction, so I put the round in and heal. He's trying to turn on me, and we get the final shot into him, and that's it. It's game over. So I managed to squeeze 6 kills out of that. 14 damaging ribbons, 1034 damage. Didn't get a lot of assistance damage though, because everyone was too far away. So 30,000 with premium, nearly 5,000 experience, high caliber, second class mastery, top gun, sniper. Yeah, okay, and that's a pretty good result. So typical Lakeville type battle. Everybody went to where they were not supposed to be in, and the battle was decided somewhere other than the valley. We came second by experience there, and yeah, you had a mixture of high and low tanks, but a lot of them were low tier. So sometimes you could do this kind of damage, and this number of kills, and get a much higher result depending on whether you're top tier or bottom tier. Since I spent a good bit of the previous battle with the T24, the Skoda T25, praising the Leopard, I thought I'd give you some Leopard action as well. I actually managed to get an ace tanker in the TP25, but it wasn't exactly a very good game. It was mostly because I was bottom tier on No Monhan, and I just found a spot where I was just able to get the gun. It only lasted about halfway through the game. I mean, somebody shot me once and I died about halfway through the game, but I was bottom tier, so it was a tier 7 game. And I managed to get some shots in at long range, did 1700, 1900 points of damage, I think, because I managed to set fire on the top tier tank. So it's actually a fairly easy tank, if you can actually keep it alive long enough, and you're fully, what do you call it? It's, you've got all the packages that you have the thing fully upgraded. It's probably an easy tank to get the to get an ace tanker in, if you have the patience to wait for the right game to pop up. So, Leopard plays very like the looks in many respects. It's got the same limitations and advantages the looks. The only real difference is that the looks, especially with the 30mm autocannon, the looks is godlike when it's top tier, simply because of the mobility and the rate of fire that the autocannon provides it with. But the looks suffers quite badly when it's bottom tier, because it can be outspotted by higher tier medium tanks. This thing suffers a similar problem. However, if you are careful with it, and if your team are obliging, the real key to the success, I think, in this tank is it's okay. It's relatively easy to get a fire for effect because there's only 380 hit points in the tank. But to really influence a battle, you need to be scouting. You need to let the other people need to be hitting targets that you're spotting. And this is one of the problems in the current game. Scouting is a bit of a lost art, and part of the reason is because wargaming just generally don't do anything to educate players. There's no real movement or no real... I suppose in part there's no easy way of doing it. The easiest way of doing it really is to direct players to to direct players to YouTube channels where people are doing it right. But the thing is, my experience or my opinion, the really good most of the YouTube channels, the most watched YouTube channels, are actually very good players. Now I'm being followed by a chaffy who then does something rather foolish. He's been followed in turn by another tank. It's a bit like the thing about the big fish and the little fish all eating each other thing from textbooks way back when. But as I was saying about light tanks, a lot of it is kind of knowing maps and knowing where you can go and what you can get away with, and understanding the spotting mechanisms and stuff like that. And a lot of it is kind of, it takes a lot of time to learn and learn how to practice doing it well. And a lot of people who see, there's two types of light tank videos that you're going to see on YouTube. One of them is top players who play light tanks like they're medium tanks, because they're good enough, they can do this. Most other people can't, ever, under any circumstances. They don't have the situational awareness to pull it off, and no amount of practice will give it to them. That's what makes these people top players. And the other one is where somebody does crazy YOLO-y stuff and gets away with it. But the thing is, if you're Quickie Baby or Jingles or Des Gamer or somebody like that, and there's a couple of million people playing World of Tanks, and they're all aware of your channel, when they have that crazy YOLO-y game that they manage to pull it off, they'll send you the video, and of course these guys will show it because it's a fun video to watch. But it's not really how you play light tanks. The downside is the game is now full of people who try and play light tanks like that all the time, and people have gotten out of the habit of shooting at tanks that's being spotted because they don't expect them to be spotted for long enough to be worth their while to stop and fire at them, or get into a position where they can fire at stuff that the light tank spots. Okay, rant over, I guess, now that I've gotten that off my chest. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and give it a share and a like. If you've not already done so, please subscribe. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.